Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. I'm doing the switchy hand things this time. Russ and Addison are here a week later, but weirdly wearing the same clothes. It happens every once in a while where we just are so in sync in 1 week where we just sync right back up accidentally. Well, hey, how's it going? Well, last year, nice, already off to a good start. Last week, we talked about 25 firsts, but that was last week.
Yeah, long ago.
This is 1 week later, so we're going to talk about 1 year later. Now, it is at least very common for your leagues, Dynasty leagues, to trade at least 2 years out. I have one that trades 3 years out, and I literally never touch those picks because I don't trust myself. Because I know if I let myself trade those away, they will be gone immediately for anyone who values them like an actual first. That is forever away. But that's not to say they're not worth a decent amount. Like, you really should hold firsts in the at least idea of what they will be worth. The beautiful thing of holding on to picks is they can't get hurt. They can't retire. They can't have a bad season. They are literally
pick up a roster spot.
Yeah, it's why? I love Treylon Burks. Just why do you have to do it? Why? They will do nothing but accrue value. So they really are a very safe asset to hold on to. All right, so let's jump into some trades and see how we feel. 12-team Superflex, again, separated by positions, and we're going to do quarterbacks first. 2 26 firsts and a 26 second for Brock Purdy. 26 firsts are worth 174 each. The second 55 for a total of 403. Brock Purdy himself 521.4. I mean, Brock Purdy isn't going for a single 25 first at all. He's probably going for 2 25 firsts. So I would easily give up 2 26 firsts in a second to go get Brock Purdy.
The reason why I included this was because I did look at the one team's roster for that 26 first. If I told you that is a guaranteed top 3 2026 first, they're that bad.
Impossible.
I understand that, but they don't have that first round pick. I don't know if they have their 25. I'd have to look to see if they had their 25. But if it was like a bad team that really didn't have picks to make themselves better, and they only really had to work within the confines of what's on their roster now, to where I could tell you that that's a top 3 26 first. I'm not asking does that change your answer, but does that make you understand trading away Purdy for those 2 firsts more?
Oh, I get it. It's fine. It's too far away for me to ever do it. Like, if I'm trading Purdy away, it is because he's young. He's gonna get extended, or if
what
not,
if it's Archie Manning though?
I still haven't seen him play, so I don't know. He could be terrible. If I'm selling Brock Purdy for just picks, because again, he's not Jalen Hurts. He's not that stud where I wouldn't be willing to trade him just for picks. But also, he's a 24-year-old quarterback to where he would need to we need to be in the situation that you were talking about before, where I had nothing to do. Like, my team, I had Brock Purdy and nothing else to improve my roster with. Maybe I do this, but still, it's 26. It's so far away. I don't think I send. If those were 225 first, I think I do this for Purdy in that situation. You're setting yourself up to have to wait a long time to be able to do anything with these picks to even improve your team. So it's rough. And that's what I know I'm going to struggle a lot in picking 26 firsts. But in a trade where I would do it with 225 firsts, I'm easily going to say I'll pay 226 first to go do it. So to me, this is pretty easily Brock Purdy.
I would take Brock Purdy too, even with the whole that could be Archie Manning or whoever. We have the Tennessee quarterback ranked as our Devy QB1. I don't even want to try and pronounce his name. I don't even know who that is. Devy QB1 for 2026. Not entire Devy QB1. But yeah, I'm still taking Brock Purdy in this. I feel like you tried to pay the 26 tax by adding in you had to also add in the second round pick. I feel like that was kind of their way of saying, I understand that this is 2 26 firsts, and they're farther away. So here, let me throw in your second. That doesn't really do anything for me. So I just give me Brock Purdy on this one. But I did think that it was interesting to kind of get some sort of like a Debbie thing in here where, well, what if it's Arch Manning in a first for Brock Purdy?
But this next one is more of a conversation. A 26 first for Derek Carr and a 26 second. Again, back like the David Montgomery, it feels so much better to get that second back with the player when you're giving up the first. That being said, a 26 first is 174. Derek Carr is 65. And a 26 second is 55 for a total of 120. I'm taking the first here. Yep. I understand wanting to pay a low price for your QB2. I don't want Derek Carr as my QB2 anymore. There are better QB2s you can get for the same price. I would rather get a better quarterback and not get the second back.
Yes.
This to me is pretty, I would love to do this and send Derek Carr in a second away to get a first. And again, there is absolutely the realm of possibility where that is a very small handful of picks, but that's still a first to me. This is very easily the first to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you're trying to say, oh, well, I have two good guys. I just need that QB3. So I'm willing to send away that 26 first. It's not Derek Carr.
You don't need that QB3. First of all, you don't need a QB3. You definitely don't need that QB3.
Right, exactly. And if you flipped it around to, well, if you have Derek Carr and somebody offered you a 26 first for them, and you say, well, no, Carr, I need Carr because he's my QB2 and I'm competing this year. Are you really competing if Derek Carr is your actual QB2?
Let me just put it out there. While it is great to start two quarterbacks, you don't have to.
That is true. And hey, maybe you are competing because you just have, 8 of the top
Jalen
10
Hurts, Tyreek Hill. You just have, that's your one.
Bijan Robinson, Tyreek, and Lamb and Kelsey and
which first of all, good for you. Good for you.
But still, if you get offered that, just take the 26 first over Derek Carr. This is just a cash out. You just have to do that.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to running backs, which is going to be, again, a very difficult decision. The first, they're both 12-team Superflex. The first trade is a 26 first for Zamir White. I get it. It's Zamir White's ball. I don't care. I'm not giving any first for Zamir White.
Nope.
By the way, 173.6 for the first, Zamir White 95.8. I'm not giving any first. I don't care what year it is for Zamir White. At least now. If we're 3 games in and he is literally the only guy getting the ball and he's having a Rachaad White season last year's, where Rachaad White didn't do anything special, he got the ball enough where it didn't matter. So maybe that is absolutely in the range of outcomes for Zamir White this season, because all they did was draft Dylan Laube, and I don't even know who else is. I think Abir Abdullah is still on the team.
Madison's his backup.
Yes, and that's another meh right there, right? So but still, I am not giving up a first. And to get any first for Zamir White feels like such a win.
Yeah, this is literally we literally just watched this play out last year with Alexander Mattison, where the team got rid of their older workhorse running back, the backup who shined bright in games where that older workhorse running back was out, is now the for sure RB1 on the team. And we literally just watched that play out last year with Alexander Mattison, to where now Madison is a backup on a team. And if you traded him for any first round pick, you are just ecstatic, because I don't even know if he's worth a third right now. So that is my fear with Zamir White, that even the upside of if Zamir White does well, he might not even be the starter again next year. He's under contract next year for year 4 of his rookie deal, but next year's running back class is so good that there's a possibility that he just gets Michael Cartered, where they just draft somebody and now he.
Why do you enjoy hurting me so much? That's what I want to know.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Tyler Algierd. He might get Tyler Algierd. So that's your upside, is maybe you get a good RB2 season and then he's probably not the starter next year. So you just lose all that value again. Or the downside is he actually is not that good and probably shouldn't be the RB1 and is producing RB3 fantasy numbers for you at best, to where you would never trade away a first round pick for any running back that's like that, so please trade away Zamir White for any first round pick that you get.
Is it worth a shot to give up a 26 first and 25 second for Isaiah Pacheco? A 26 first is 174. The 25 second is 88 for a total of 261. Pacheco is 237 by himself. What are your thoughts on Pacheco at right now?
I think that he's in a very good spot to gain a lot of value. If he ends up being the workhorse running back for Kansas City, I mean, he was basically the workhorse last year, but his numbers got inflated by the absence of Jerick McKinnon for like 4 or 5 games, to where like his targets spiked during those games. His obviously like his yards and everything went up too because the touches went up. I think he averaged like 1 touchdown a game as well. But then whenever McKinnon came back, he just went right back down to solid mid to back, like solid top 20, RB numbers. Like he was averaging like 12 to 13 points per game. So Jerick McKinnon is no longer on the team right now. So you could very easily just say, well, if McKinnon was what was holding Isaiah Pacheco back, he's not on the team anymore. Does that just mean that Pacheco can swallow up all of that work? My only hesitation with that is I don't know if somebody else on the team now takes that McKinnon role. CEH is still there. Does he just take on more of a receiving workload, receiving role on that team? Deneric Prince is there too. They drafted Amani Bailey as well.
I didn't know Keontae Ingram was there. Let's go. Too. Give it to Keontae.
They might even re-sign Jerick McKinnon. He's still a free agent out there too. So that's my hesitancy. That's holding me back from projecting Pacheco to being more of a back-end RB1 instead of just like a solid RB2. So that's kind of where I am. But I would trade a 26 first and a 25 second for Pacheco. I feel like that is far enough away and there is enough upside for Pacheco and longevity for Pacheco that is worth it to me. And I'd make that move now. I'd be willing to do that now in June.
He's fine. Like, that's what I'm stuck at. He's fine. Like, I love watching him play. It's scary, but I love watching him play. But
he feels like Chris Carson, where it's just like he has that kind of like bulldozer mentality when he runs, which could lend himself to getting hurt more than we would like him to.
Are you old enough to remember like Marion Barber?
Yeah, he kind of did that as well too.
Like, he was scary. He ran to linebackers to knock them over. Like, that man was insane.
Yep.
Like, besides the fact that his name led to it, like, he deserved the nickname the Barbarian. Like, he was. But like, and it works. Hasn't really. You worry about concussions for players that do that. He hasn't really at least gotten caught with them. So like, he's fine. That's what has me stuck. Like, if I'm sending my first, I want to feel like better than he's fine, but I get it. And I'm fine with this. I wouldn't do it personally, but the value is right. You have to do it if you want Pacheco. So for me, I'll take the first and second for Pacheco because I think I can replace his points at running. Like, he's prime candidate for let me just go get Josh Jacobs or Aaron Jones for me. But if you do believe he has that mid to low RB1 upside because of the offense, which I do think will be better than last year, yeah, this is fine. This is pretty easy. Go get Pacheco at this price. Wide receivers, 12-team Superflex, a 26 first, and the pumped up Jameson Williams right now. Like, the Jameson Williams news is just rolling. 26 first and Jameson Williams for Mike Evans and Aaron Jones. Oh, the age. Whew. 26 first, 174. Jameson Williams, 61 for a total of 235. Mike Evans, 155. Aaron Jones, 89 for a total of 245. I'll take the points on this one. I think I would do this. I don't, Aaron Jones in Minnesota, he'll probably be the guy there. And regardless of what the QB play does really look like, the rest of that offense is good enough that they're not going to have 10 guys in the box to worry about Aaron Jones. Right. So, like, he'll have the opportunity to have good rushes because the offense will be good enough regardless if it's Darnold or McCarthy. Like, that offense, the rest of the people on the offense are good enough. So I do think you're going to get very good points, assuming health at this point on Aaron Jones. Mike Evans will never be appreciated for all that he does, and all he does is be an all-time yardage leader in the NFL. Like he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And you're going to walk away with a top 24 wide receiver and a top 24 running back, and you're giving up 26 first and a wide receiver that is just getting camp buzz because there's nothing else to talk about. Like Jameson Williams can work his way into that offense. Like that spot is open. Like that downfield guy is absolutely an open spot on that team where Jameson Williams can fill that plus a little bit. He's not just that. But I don't care. Like he's not stopping me from doing anything like this to go bolster my team, to go and score points and win. Again, I would I do this right now? No. But that's, again, like I'm going to talk like I'm a normal person and not a crazy person like I am. Like if you want to go and bolster your team, this isn't even depth. These guys are going to start for you.
Yes.
You easily sent your 26 first and a young maybe for these 2-point scorers.
Yes. But on the flip side, I think it makes sense as well too. This is another perfect rebuild versus contending trade, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're getting better than Jameson Williams for Aaron Jones. Maybe in season, like he's actually a running back, like you talked about. Would you rather wait to see it, or do you not want to wait and see it? Like Aaron Jones, the only thing that you'd be waiting out and gambling on in season is if he gets hurt. But like if he has a couple of games at the start of the year where he looks like he's the workhorse, he's Aaron Jones still, like you might be able to get more. But as of right now, you're probably not getting more than Jameson Williams on like the young, maybe like you said. Evans, I don't know if you're getting a first round pick. I'd like to say that you probably could, but he just doesn't feel like a player that is just easily getting valued as a first round pick right now. And a couple of seconds just doesn't really feel as great to trade away Evans for,
Yeah, I think I would take the 26 first over like 2.25 seconds.
Right. Yes, that is where like a first is a first in that one. I take that over 2 seconds,
especially when you're shedding 2 30-year-olds off of your roster. Right. If you're looking to get towards that youth, which again, Jameson Williams is not a terrible dart throw. Like he was highly drafted both in the NFL and rookie drafts. His first year was a wash because he was hurt the entire time. And last year, it's hard to break out when you have St. Brown and Laporta doing what they were doing. Like, I think now is the right time for him to find his place in the offense. And it's going to be tough for him to be great with 2 better players already ahead of them in the passing order and maybe even Jahmyr Gibbs. But he still has... You're starting 10 players. You're going to need wide receiver 3s, and Jameson Williams can be that wide receiver 3 with upside. He can be Christian Watson.
He can be Gabe Davis. He feels like Gabe Davis a couple years ago.
Yes.
Like that's literally what like we are just, there's an opportunity now because some of the other wide receivers have left. There's a role. He's not going to be the alpha, but he's going to have upside just because of the type of player that he is. That is Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Defined. And like you said, in a start 10, start 11, you're going to need players like that. And when he has a 70, 80-yard touchdown, like you're going to be so happy that you started him. But oftentimes he might just get 3 targets and 3 fantasy points, and because he only had 1 catch, and that's just kind of it. So that I think that is Jameson Williams like defined right now.
Ooh, this next one is super interesting because there's old guys on both sides. Chris Godwin and a 26 first for Deebo Samuel. Chris Godwin 185, the 26 first 174 for a total of 359. Deebo by himself 215. So this shows that this person holds Deebo in a much higher tier than he does Chris Godwin.
Yes.
Which I get. Like Deebo, okay, let's for a second pretend that the 49ers keep all of their players, because that's all we could do right now. Actually, it's after June 1st where he was supposed to be tradable, and it hasn't happened immediately, which means they didn't have something planned already. If the world stayed the same as it is right now, by the time the NFL season started, I do believe that production Deebo Samuel will far outdo production of Chris Godwin. I don't think it's a first more for me to do that. Like, I think you'll get solid low end wide receiver 2 numbers out of Chris Godwin with maybe, a little bit better if he catches 2 touchdowns in a game. But the reality of the situation is we don't know exactly what the San Francisco offense is going to look like. Chances are it's Shanahan, so it's going to look like the Shanahan offense, but it might not have Debo in it. And it's impossible to say that someone will, even if a team chooses to trade for Debo, which means they want him on their team, it's impossible to assume similar usage than out of San Francisco, because that was not normal.
Right.
Even with a player of Debo's skill set, which there are other players in the NFL with a similar skill set, not as angry as Debo is and the way he plays, but like that's not something you can assume even if he goes to another team. So if I'm holding them both as wide receiver 2s, which I kind of do, even though Debo does have a little bit more of an upside with the rushing and everything, I don't think even a 26 first difference between the two of them. So I think I would be fine downgrading to Godwin and getting the first out of it.
I absolutely love this. This is something that I love to do whenever I trade down. And I think that future first round picks multiple years out are like the perfect trade down piece, because a lot of managers don't really value them. And they do try to treat them as like, this is multiple years out. So it's kind of like a second. You'll figure it out later. Like you said, like I can just get another one later. But to you just got another first round pick, and you just kind of got to be patient on it maturing. But the trade down, and especially in an example like this between Debo and Godwin, like there might not be a massive point differential that justifies a future first round pick, especially when that pick actually matures. And, that could be, whoever it is in 2026, if you hit on that pick, or if you trade that pick later for something of higher value, that is just more swinging this trade into your favor. So I love doing trades like this. And you can sit here and debate all the live long day for Debo's going to outscore Godwin, or this is finally going to be Godwin's year, because I do think that there's some fatigue on him. But now they get the new OC that did well with Cooper Kupp, and they're going to put Godwin back in the slot. And you can, whatever it is,
I love that optimism you just threw out there. I love it. I'm soaking that in.
I'm still really hopeful on Chris Godwin. I mean, I got his freaking jersey on the wall. So I love Chris Godwin. I am hopeful that this is finally the year that he comes back to kind of like what we saw a few years ago, Chris Godwin. I've never really been a Debo Samuel guy. So in this specific of a trade, I'm taking Chris Godwin in the 26th first. But I just want to reiterate that I think that this is a perfect way to trade down to get future first round picks and not really change the production aspect of your team, but massively improve the longevity and future value of your team, especially with an asset that, like we said, kind of at the beginning, they can't get hurt. They can't take up a roster spot. They can't age. They're only going to increase in value. That is the perfect asset to just compile. And this is a perfect way to get that asset. You know who should trade for Debo that I just thought of this? The Ravens.
No, because I like Devontae Walker too much. I want him to be good.
Well, Debo doesn't infect Tez Walker.
Yeah, but he's still better than Tez Walker, so it'll keep him off the field.
I guess so.
They still have Flowers and Andrews. So like that. Stop trying to hurt me, Addison.
I'm sorry. I just think Debo would be fun.
Would fit in very well there.
Yes, he would.
Man, Derrick Henry and Debo Samuel on the same field at the same time. I'd run if I were.
And Lamar.
Oh well, Lamar, I'm not catching, so it doesn't matter.
And Flowers, dude, that whole offense would be disgusting. They could just run triple option every single play, and like literally all three of them are just like running behind the other, and you don't know if they're going to pitch it or if they're just going to take off. Dude, that would be so much fun.
That would be so awful. Please don't do that, Baltimore.
Todd Monken's just like, yes, let's just. I guess scheming up plays for all four.
Let me pull up NCAA 1994 and see what we used to do back then.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Street 2004.
The game where you could just tackle the wide receivers while the ball's in the air. Yes.
Yep. No worries about it.
So much jump off the walls. That game was so much fun. Well, after that little trip of nostalgia, this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes, @AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.